Good evening, and welcome to another week of In the Spotlight with Tabitha Collins. I am Tabitha Collins. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back for another week. We are still on a mission to share our Black entrepreneurs here in the community of Charlotte, North Carolina. We are still in the midst of Black History Month, and this evening we have the pleasure of having the lovely Miss Terry Hensley, who is a CEO of Terry Hensley Incorporated Realty. She has her MBA. She is SRES and a broker owner of Terry Hensley Realty. And we are going to dive a little bit into what it looks like to be a home buyer right now. We're in a market where it is the seller's market. And we want to share with our viewers, we want to educate, as always, empower, and encourage and enlighten our audience on the best possible information that could help them or somebody else. So please like and share this broadcast all over with your friends and on your social media platforms. And without any further ado, Terry, welcome to the show this evening. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. So, what we plan on doing, just so our viewers know, is having kind of like a part one of this home buyer session on how our audience can purchase a home if that's what they're choosing to do at this time. And if not, they can share this information with someone else. We just want to get it out there and make sure that we are promoting and encouraging Black entrepreneurship and business owners as a whole. And then we'll come back and we'll do a part two for like financing 101, kind of like a now what, now we've unpacked this information on them, and now how can we get them to the next level? So I'm just going to ask you, um, how does a client even go about getting a realtor? Like the first step in the search, where could they find you? What's their first go to in the process? If they're new, I'm 20 years old, I'm newly married, or I'm single, I'm newly married, and I think, okay, now is the time. What's the first step of how someone could even get started?
Well, first, I think once they made up their mind that they're going to be a homeowner, they just start to do what most people are doing nowadays, which is jump on the internet and just start randomly searching. So, of course, they're going to search, their social media platforms, which I am on all social media platforms at Hansley Realty on Instagram, at Hansley Realty on Facebook. My website is hansleyrealty.com, and of course at Hansley Realty on LinkedIn. So whenever someone starts to begin their home search, they're going to find a realtor. Again, they can ask family or friends, or they can check their social media um, platforms where you're going to pretty much find a realtor. But you want to be sure that you find a realtor um, that you can mesh with, so to speak, that you click with, someone that you feel comfortable with, someone that is going to be your advocate, someone that is going to be there for you as you proceed and try to accomplish this goal of home ownership.
And because they're new at this, what's included in the services, in the fees? Do clients um, even need a realtor in this world of technology?
So one of the things, typically you do not pay a fee for a buyer's agent. There are some buyer's agents that require a retainer, but most of the time that is not something that a homeowner, potential homeowner are looking for. They should not be purchasing or paying a fee, I should say, for a buyer's agent. That is something that the seller usually will pay. The seller will pay the buyer's agent. So there should not be any fees for your buyer's agent. And most importantly, absolutely, yeah, technology is there. You definitely can find what you want on the internet. You can look at that house and click through some pictures. But having a buyer's agent, a true buyer's agent who knows this market, who knows how to navigate this market, to help you be able to understand the do's and the don'ts and the pitfalls, helping you understand contracts, what they entail, how important the information. I mean, our North Carolina contract has 15 pages, right?
Wow.
There is a lot of information on there, and you need yourself an experienced agent to help you navigate that. So technology is not going to help you do that.
Got you. Got you. So that's why we still definitely know that we need to have a realtor in hand, and definitely one that we can trust. And I'm glad you mentioned that about the fees. I wanted to put that out there because I've come across some friends and associates that have said, oh, this person asked me for such and such a money, and I was like,
Yeah, no.
and I was like, I got a show coming up. Watch my show, you know. We'll answer
Yeah.
that question on the show.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, there are some realtors, it's not like it's against the law or it cannot be done, because it is, okay to do. It's just that it's not something that we normally would ask for, because you are being paid by the seller's agent, by the seller that you're purchasing the property for. So that's how the buyer's agent is being paid. So most of the time, 99% of the time, there's not going to be like some retainer fee.
Got you. Okay. Okay. That's where I was going with that question. Okay. Thank you so much for that. And this is something, the next question is something that I even go through, with my husband and I, even, throwing it back and forth with, purchasing, our own home, or our forever home, our, we're middle age home, whatever you want to call it. Um, we're at that age, right? Um, Zillow, this is what drives me crazy. Zillow, uh, what's the other one? The real
Trulia,
Trulia.
Realtor.com, all of
Yes,
the
all of those.
internet, iBuyer, all of that is so. I mean, there are opportunities to check those websites, right? They can give you some information about the home. A lot of the information is not up to date, accurate information. Trulia and Realtor.com and most of those platforms are really geared to sell to me, right? Their
Okay.
whole idea is to put information and houses out there that look really, really good. So someone like you and your husband can click on it, give them your information that they then in turn try to sell to me.
Got you. Okay.
So
Okay.
a lot of times I have clients that do sign up for those online services to, get information. And, they sign up for those and they get information sent to them that meet their criteria. Um, but sometimes those houses have been sold 6 months ago,
That's what
but
I
they
was
look so
saying.
good and
Right.
they look and appealing, and it's like, oh, and they look good enough for you to give them your information. So now they have your name, address and telephone number, email address. They have all this information about you now that again they in turn sell to other realtors who are purchasing for lead generation purposes.
So would you say so that really doesn't help the home buyer like I thought it did? Because that was going to be my next question. Does that really help them? But then you kind of answered it, because I was going to say, is that good? Is it bad? Does it matter? About, any of those sites. And what I've noticed on those sites, you get hits from like brokers, like not brokers, I'm sorry, like mortgage people,
Loan
like,
officers,
your loan
right.
officers. Like it seems like
Hmm.
that's more for like for me, like the loan officer is calling you like, you ready to buy, like you looking at this home.
Right. Because
And then
that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to gather your information and sell it to realtors and loan officers to help them with lead generation. Because if you click on 123 Main Street, that now, if I had purchased that zip code in 123 Main Street, 28216, for example, if I purchased that, I'm now going to get a notification that you're looking at that house. The loan officer that they've also sold that zip code to is getting a notification. And now we both are pouncing on you to say, hey, I see you're looking at this particular home. Whether it's available or not doesn't matter, because now you may become my buyer.
right.
So that's the whole idea of it. And with this loan officer, you may become their client as well. So now they can get you pre-approved, and then you can come to me and then we can go and look for a home. because
That's
we're
what I
now
thought.
paying Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com a monthly fee to be the preferred realtor for that zip code.
Right. And that's what I thought, because I've even been contacted by someone says, "Oh, I saw you like this home. Would you like to come to the open house? Would you like to see it? Where do you think you are credit wise? Is it something, that we could get you pre-approved for this or that amount?" And then I thought, when they say, do you work with, some of the questions they ask you when you first click on is, do you have a realtor? So I would assume that, I always thought it was the loan officer seeking you out to try to help you get pre-approved, and once you're pre-approved, you're telling them, yes, I already have a realtor, and then they take you out looking at houses in that area with the filters that you put in. Is that
Right.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so now I've got the realtor. I'm looking for homes in what I feel like I can afford. I feel safe enough that I'm at a comfortable level. Where do we go from here?
Well, once one of the things that I like is that you have went and you've figured out that you want a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,000 square feet, and you want it in this particular area. And so now, and most realtors is going to set you up on an automatic email campaign that's going to constantly send you updates of properties that meeting the criteria. And we're going to look, of course, you have a pre-approval before we go to look, but at this point, we're just going to look at homes until you find that one that really, says, this is it. And then we put in an offer. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about the home search before we have any mention of financials, but we'll talk about that later because one of the things that I really like to do, especially at this point, is to give you a visual, give you something to work towards, give you a feeling of dream a little, right? Cast
Yeah,
the vision, make it plain so you'll have something in your mind that you're seeking, that you're going after, because this process can get very daunting, especially in the environment that we're in now. And it can be very discouraging. So we have the idea of what this house looks like and what we want it to be for our family. So now we're out there and we're looking for it. And we just maybe happen to find it sooner than later. But please understand that in the market that we're in, it may not happen that quick. We may be 2 months in, 3 months in, because as you mentioned earlier, this is a seller's market, right? And so depending on your price point, will determine how many other people are looking at the same house. And so we're putting offers in now, right? You come across that house that means, this one is it. I can see me here with my family over the next 5 years. And we start putting in offers, you know, after your realtor have helped you to understand this contract, help you to understand what offer price is, what due diligence mean, what the time frame is, helping you understand the importance of if they accept our contract, we are in contractual agreement to see this through, and that our lender, we trust, we're confident, and now we're proceeding with the opportunity, to put in this offer.
right. Well, I have a lot more questions for you. We're going to talk about buying versus selling. And like you said, once we have that contract in, I want to also bring up the point that I'm hearing so many people talk about being outbidded and what that looks like. And we're going to do all of that after our commercial break. We're about to go to commercial, but I just want everyone to remember that we are educating, empowering, and encouraging our viewers one viewer at a time. We are here to be a help and a tool and an aid in the community. We are here to serve and get the word out and share um, the CEOs and the owners and the business people in the community doing great things one day at a time. And I also want to make sure that you watch us on WTV7.org. We are a nonprofit organization. Please like our show. If you like it, share, donate, tell a friend. We're out here for you in the community. Terry, if you can hold on for us, and we will have a second half of our Home Buyers 101 workshop in just a minute after this commercial break.
Are you ready to buy a new home or refinance a home? Call Quentin Johnson at Homestar Financial. Homestar Financial offers competitive rates for home improvement, new construction, FHA, VA, conventional, and USDA loans. Take advantage of today's low interest rates by being a smart and prepared buyer. Get pre-approved today and find out just how much house you can afford. Call Quentin Johnson at Homestar Financial, 704-526-4007, extension 50306. Homestar Financial makes home ownership a reality. In MLS 161685, equal housing lender.
And welcome back to In the Spotlight with Tabitha. I am Tabitha, and we are welcoming back Ms. Terry Hensley of Hensley Realty. And on the first half, we dove into some home buyer 101 questions. And we're going to just pick up to where we left off. And I wanted to ask Ms. Terry, buying versus renting, buying versus renting, because we're in the market that we're in, and it is a seller's market, like we said in the first half, and it's just a struggle for some, versus others, financially, where everyone is in life is at a different place, right? So, and I know with renting, you're renting and you can get into a rut and a repetitive cycle, and my money really isn't going anywhere. But do you ever encourage people to rent? Like, give me the buying versus renting. I'll let you.
You can rent until you can buy because I mean we need some place to stay, right? That's just
Yeah.
kind of the gist of it. And but in the meantime, you should be preparing to purchase.
Yeah.
You just should always be preparing to purchase because it just makes more sense, right? And the way that the values are increasing here in Charlotte, I mean, I literally just had a client whom I sold a home to in 2018, a townhome. She purchased it for $94,000 3 years ago. We're going to put our house on the market for $175,000.
Wow. You just can't beat that buying.
You just can't.
Wow.
Now, we are happen to be in a market that is just the home values are just constantly increasing. They're increasing at a rate that is definitely different than what it used to be, but there's nothing that says that it's going to stop. So
And
you
is this
think about
across?
this client at 3 years ago, who would have ever thought she was going to walk away, after, of course, she, you know, have to pay off the first mortgage, but
Right.
even with that, she will probably still walk away with about $75,000.
Wow. Wow.
Now that you
And,
can't beat that investment.
no, you can. And even when you buy, and if you ever need to do home equity or refinance to pay off some things to fix up your house, to add on to your house, it really, you really can't beat it. But is this across I want to make sure our audience knows, because this is a global broadcast, not just
Pretty
local
much.
to Charlotte, North Carolina. So is this going on everywhere right now?
Pretty much. There are some places that may not be growing as fast, but the low inventory is pretty much everywhere.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty much everywhere.
And we don't see an end in sight. So,
Well, people tell me all the time, well, I'm waiting for the bubble to burst like it did the last time.
right.
Well, the last time it was not a housing crisis, it was a mortgage crisis, right? The
Gotcha.
last time, 2008, 9, people were getting mortgages that they really could not afford, right? So they were being put into predatory mortgages and put in situations where they really could not afford that mortgage. So therefore, they abandoned their homes. And then we had an influx of houses on the market. And that's when it was a buyer's market because there
Right.
was all of these houses available and not enough people to buy them. Well, that's not the case right now. So
Okay.
there's no need for it. There's nothing to burst because it's just a supply and demand situation, right? That's just, the way that is. The less supply, the high demand that drives prices up. We're in a city here in Charlotte and the surrounding areas where we have good employment, right? We have pretty much every bank you can think of is here, right? It's a banking town. People have good jobs. There's over 200 and some people moving here every day. The
Wow.
builders can't hardly keep up. So the prices are going to keep going up. And COVID didn't help, right? So we have supply issues. So things are, more expensive, and it costs more money to build the house. So, it's just a cycle that I don't see why it would stop, because things are really good here.
And I'm glad you put that out there, because I've also heard a lot of people saying that, and and we thought that ourselves. We were like, oh well, we'll just wait for it's to flip to a buyer's market again. And I think that we were getting that confused. So I'm glad that this broadcast is going to run, because now people can understand. Okay, no, I need to get my ducks in a row, because if I think that I'm going to wait and rent and wait this out, I might be waiting until forever, amen, because it's not that, you know what I mean? It's like it's
Oh
not the
yeah.
same thing, because I thought that too. I thought, okay, well, it's going to happen like it did in 2008. But when you explain the difference, that was mortgage and not the same situation, all of that makes sense. So now people understand, okay, let me get my ducks in a row, because I watched In the Spotlight with Tabitha, and they told me that this could last
Well,
for
I don't
forever,
see,
amen.
yeah, you don't, one of the things in our industry we talk about is you don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait, right? You don't wait to buy it, because it's only getting higher. It's only going up. You know, what was there, for 200. I remember, like, I started in this industry in new construction, with Regent Homes, which is now DR Horton Express. And back in 2007 and 8, I was selling in the community, sitting in the model home. And those floor plans that I sold at that time, there were like one in particular, I just will name, it was 1,800 square feet. It was 100, and this was back in 2007, 8, 9, and it was 159.9. And it was like, wow, this is 159.9. That same identical floor plan is now $352,000.
Wow. Wow. And that
And
was,
they just, it's just constantly going up. So if you think you're going to wait it out, and even if for some reason something happens and it drops a little bit, or something go on and it shifts a little bit, it's still not going to shift enough to be 159 anymore.
got you.
You
Got
know what
you.
I mean? It's still not
Got
going
you.
back to that.
Got you.
So at the end of the day, it's time for you to get your, things lined up. Make sure you understand what you're doing. Get your credit in order. Save your money, because you need money in this market as well. There was a time where you need $500 down and you were good to go. Well, that doesn't cut it anymore.
What
You
are
know,
what
we
are we looking at for downs right now, Terry?
So, like, you have your first time home buyer. A lot of clients go, I want the first time home buyer program. Well, the first time home buyer program is probably the FHA loan, right? You
Okay.
have an FHA loan, you have 3.5% of whatever the sales price is.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
first thing.
Okay.
On top of that, you will need about 3% of that sales price for closing costs. So you might add another $5,000 to $6,000 to that,
Okay. Okay.
right?
So
And
we're looking
then
at, okay. Okay. So we're looking at 3.5, you said, down,
that's
and
for the
then
down
another.
payment, because that's the FHA loan. And
Okay.
that's the loan that's typically going to be the most lenient in terms of credit score, in terms of credit in general, and the least amount of down payment. There are a few lenders out there that might have a 3% conventional loan, but even with that, you're still going to have private mortgage insurance that's going to be added to that as well. So you have those numbers, and that's just the basics. So when you have our North Carolina contract, you talked about the multiple offer situation
Right.
that
Right.
most people find themselves in right now. There's a number of ways that you can navigate that, needing a buyer's agent to help to find out, does this buyer, are they really looking for, the sales price? Are they looking to get the highest and best dollar amount out? Or are they kind of like, we're not trying to be greedy, but you know what? If they can put down a sufficient amount of due diligence money, some people are putting down $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of due diligence money to compete with those
Wow.
multiple offers that are going on. So these are all the things that you need to talk with your buyer's agent about so that you understand that you're putting your best foot forward and you're giving yourself the best opportunity to be chosen for that property.
This is good information. This is good information because, again, it was out there like, we're going to wait this out. And I think people do, well, even me, like I learned tonight, I was taking notes because I'm like, so you need down money, closing money, and you might need some money on top of that just to even compete because the inventory is so small and everyone's competing for the same homes. Am I following you correctly?
That is correct. And keep in
Okay.
mind, you know, the due diligence money will get credited to you at the end. It's not like you're giving it away. It will be credited to, the transaction once we get to the end of the transaction,
Got you.
but you're putting it up in good faith saying, hey, I'm willing to give you $15,000, and you write that check to the seller. And when I tell you they cash it immediately, you know, right. And this
Right,
is all in the event that they accept your offer, right? This is
right.
all in the event that they accept your offer.
Gotcha.
Initially it's just an offer. If they accept it, then we in a contract, and now we got to follow through with our contractual agreement. And one of them is to walk over that due diligence check immediately. But again, it gets credited at the end of the transaction. But just know that there are a number of financial components to this process, because now you have to pay for a home inspection and a termite inspection and all these other things that come to play. So having yourself a good buyer's agent is going to help you navigate that process as well, helping you understand step by step how this works. And one of the biggest things that become such a main component for me is making sure that I educate my client and that they totally understand this process and they are involved in this process every step of the way.
And I know we only have, a 30-minute show and we can't even begin to, we're just scratching the surface. So
Yeah.
that's why we definitely want to have a part two and come back and do the finance part for our audience. And Terry, could you just share all of your media handles one more time? Because we have 30 minutes, we can't even we're just scratching the surface. And I know when people watch this, they're going to go, oh my God, and they're going to want to know more and we want to give them more. So can you share and repeat all of your handles one more time so they can reach out to you directly if they have questions after tonight's broadcast?
Sure. You can reach me by phone or text, which is at 704-502-0241. Or you can reach me on Instagram at Hansley Realty. That's HANSLEY Realty. Facebook is at Hansley Realty. My website is hansleyrealty.com. And I'm on LinkedIn as well at Hansley Realty.
And our theme for this year was I'm trying. And if you could tie that in, like what are you trying to do for your client, and just before we end out, and how do we keep them engaged with all of this information that we unloaded tonight, can be somewhat discouraging through the process, like you said earlier. And just a quick minute or two, how are you trying and how do you keep your clients encouraged, is how we're going to close out.
Well, one of the things that is really important to me, as I mentioned earlier, is educating my client, making sure that they understand this process, making sure that I explain every single component of it, allowing them to have their legitimate feelings of discouragement and not feeling, as motivated as they would have if this wasn't such a seller's market, but helping them understand too that this is a process, and it's an opportunity, for them to have an experience that is every bit of their own, and everything that they decide about how it's going to be is how it's going to be. We get all of the information that we know to be true, and how we receive it and respond to it is truly up to you. You know, we can go in this thing and feel discouraged and defeated, or we can go in this thing knowing that it is what we are set out to do. And this is what God has for me. And what's for me is for me. And we go in it wholeheartedly and make sure that we get what we designed. And one of the other things that I wanted to be sure is that you have your vision. Like whatever that is that you have decided that's going to be for you, let it be for you. And don't let anything stop you. And most importantly for me, reach out to me. I One of the biggest things about this industry, I love what I do. This is not just about transactions. This is about relationships. I build relationships with my clients. I can't tell you how many baby showers and cookouts and housewarmings, that I get to attend along with other family members. Um, and it's because it's that important to me, whatever is important to you. And that's just really what it is for me here, doing this business that I love to do.
Terry, thank you so much for being on tonight. Audience, please donate, like, and share. We're at www.ytv.org. I'm Tabitha. I'm in the spotlight. Tabitha, Tabatha, spotlight at gmail.com. Or you can reach me at 980-907-3136. If you know someone that would like to be on the show, we're shining the light on businesses, entrepreneurs. Once we're past Black History Month, the sky is the limit. I appreciate you sharing and viewing the show. We are encouraging, empowering, and educating our viewers, one viewer at a time. And Terry, again, thank you so much. You have her information. Reach out, share again, like this show. And if you have any homeowner questions, um, please reach out to Terry. And thank you so much for joining us for another week of In the Spotlight.